Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose, and it's that time of the month yet again where we got more Xbox Game Pass games to talk about. What's new, right? There's always something to look forward to if you're a Game Pass subscriber, but they did just reveal 7 new games that are slated to release over the next few weeks, and on top of that, we got a little bit of a bonus here as well. So if you're counting at home, we got 8 total Game Pass games to talk about today, and then also Nintendo, they just announced another showcase that's actually happening tomorrow. So it should be a fun day, all things considered, and we'll get into all that as well. As always, though, before we get started today, do remember to hit those buttons below. It helps the channel a ton. But with that said, without a further ado, let's just go and jump right into our first topic of the day, being about Dead Island 2. It's only been about a decade since this game was first revealed, so I mean, no time at all, but it is almost officially out now. It will release later this week on April 21st, though if you're still on the fence, reviews are rolling out now, and as of this recording, it currently has a 75 overall score on Metacritic with 59 total reviews. I actually feel like that's pretty much about as expected. I don't think that many people were expecting this game to be flawless by any stretch of the means, but at the same time, it does sound like this is a fun overall game, especially if you like zombies or if you just want a good cooperative game to play with your friends. From what I've been hearing, though, Dead Island 2 isn't necessarily the most original game per se, and it doesn't really take itself overly serious, which I mean, that's expected as well, but it is a humorous game and also satisfying as long as you like melee-driven combat more than guns. If anything else, I'd say that if you like the first game, it sounds like you're probably gonna like the sequel. All in all, though, the fact that this game is finally releasing in just a few days, which is, I mean, that's hard to believe alone, and it apparently has turned out to be a pretty decent overall game. Yeah, I'd say that I'd call that a win for gamers, especially for those who have been ever patiently waiting for the sequel. Next up here, let's go and talk about Harry Potter. There's been a lot of movement with this franchise recently. It's almost kind of like Warner Brothers realized that they're sitting on a treasure trove of gold here. But one thing fans noticed with Hogwarts Legacy was the lack of Quidditch, the magical flying broom sport they play in movies and books. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you're invested in the Harry Potter franchise even slightly, but it does kind of seem like there were plans to include Quidditch at one point, but it just never made it to the final product, in which some fans, they were upset about that. I mean, Quidditch is an important part of the Harry Potter fantasy, after all. Well, there might have actually been a reason for its absence, as just months after the launch of Hogwarts Legacy, Warner Brothers Games just teased another brand new Harry Potter game, this time being Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, which is a quote-unquote fast-paced competitive multiplayer game for PC and consoles. Apparently, Unbroken Studios, which has previously helped with games like Suicide Squad and Call of Duty, well, they've been developing Quidditch Champions for the past couple years. So yeah, I'd say the absence of Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy does kind of make a lot more sense now, as I'm sure Warner Brothers Games is targeting a way to monetize this new competitive game. At the same time, though, I can't help but feel intrigued by this. I do think that there's actually some potential here if done right. I mean, that's the important part, but we've seen the success that Hogwarts Legacy has had, so I'm sure a lot of people will at the very least try Quidditch Champions. And hey, if the mechanics are good enough, it could actually be a long-running esports game, similar to what we've seen with games like Rocket League, as an example. For the time being, though, we're still waiting for more concrete details, including its gameplay and release date, but you can currently sign up for its playtest right now, which will run through April 21st to the 22nd. Let's go and get to the good stuff here, though, and talk about some Xbox Game Pass games. This is always a fun part of the month because on a monthly basis, there's always something to look forward to if you're a Game Pass subscriber, and that's especially evident here with 8 more games coming into Game Pass over the next few weeks. We'll first take a look at the 7 here, which includes Blaz Blue Cross Tag Battle Special Edition, Coffee Talk Episode 2, Homestead Arcana, Redfall, The Last Case of Benedict Fox, Cassette Beast, and then Medieval Dynasty. Now, what's kind of crazy about this lineup is that 6 of these games, including Minecraft Dungeons, are day 1 releases, and that's exactly what I love about Game Pass. I mean, I've talked about this before, but it's nice when we get these big, well-known games, especially for people who haven't played them yet, but I'm all about those day 1 games. That's what keeps me subscribed, because it immediately saves me money, and it just introduces me to so many games that I might have otherwise missed. And I mean, that's all through this lineup here. right away you have Minecraft Legends, which is available today. Now, based on reviews, it sounds like it's a good introduction to strategy games with a nice mix of Minecraft elements that fans will get a kick out of. That actually very much reminds me of Minecraft Dungeons, which released just a few years back. No, it's not the most in-depth dungeon crawler in the world, but I'll tell you this much. It was a lot of fun, and fans really enjoyed it, especially with its multiplayer. And I'd say that Minecraft Legends, it does seem like it's kind of cut from the same cloth here. So that's a big day one release alone. Minecraft is a massive franchise after all. But then there's also Redfall. This is another big first-party release for Xbox, and while its launch for consoles is controversial with its 30 frames per second, ultimately, I still do believe that this game will be good just based on Arcane's previous history. First off, last month when critics got their hands on it, most of its reception was very positive, and it was kind of described as being yet another good Arcane experience, just with a bigger world this time around, and of course it having that multiplayer aspect alongside its single player. I mean, if you want to wait for that 60 frames per second update, I don't blame you at all, but what I'm trying to say is that if you're okay with 30 frames, then this certainly is a game to keep an eye on when it releases into Game Pass on May 2nd. If anything else, if you have a good PC, well, you won't even have to wait for that 60 frames update, so do kind of keep that in mind as well. Out of all of these games here, though, the one that I'm probably most excited about is actually The Last Case of Benedict Fox. This is a new Metroidvania game that was announced last year, and it's had my attention pretty much ever since. It has a strikingly beautiful Lovecraftian art style to it, and they describe it as having a mysterious narrative. You do explore the memories of deceased victims as you search for clues and fight demons, and I just think that this game both looks and sounds highly, highly interesting. Like, if there's just one game that has a lot of potential to come out and surprise people, I think this is the one here. So definitely don't sleep on The Last Case of Benedict Fox when it releases on April 27th. Now, speaking of hidden gems though, Cassette Beast. This is another intriguing day one release. This is a retro-style turn-based RPG where you collect monsters in an open-world adventure. Kind of sounds similar, right? Maybe kind of like what's it called? It's right on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, anyways, actually it does sound really good. It has a lot of style to it, and I'm loving the old school vibes here. Now, however, Cassette Beast will only be available on PC Game Pass for the time being, though it is planned for Xbox consoles later this spring in case you do want to wait for that. If you do want to play it on PC Game Pass though, as I very much do myself, it will be out on April 26th. However, if you are looking for a JRPG-like experience on consoles, I actually do have a little bit of a bonus game here because on May 4th, Ravenlock is also set to release. Now, this is coming from the same studio that developed Echo Generation, Coco Cucumber. That game was a part of Game Pass not all that long ago, and I do know that a lot of fans really enjoyed Echo Generation for its turn-based combat and stunningly unique art style. And yeah, I'd say that they're kind of bringing that over to Ravenlock as well, or at least with its art style. It is very unique looking once again, though instead of it being a turn-based game, Ravenlock is actually an action RPG. It even seems like there's a little bit of a Zelda inspiration here, but what I personally want to see with this game is growth from Echo Generation. Coco Cucumber clearly has the talent to make gorgeous looking games, but I want to see them take a step forward in their storytelling and just bringing all of its mechanics together, because if they do, they have a special game here in Ravenlock. Coffee Shop Episode 2 is also yet another Day 1 release, which will be out on April 20th. I mean, that's kind of my point with this lineup, though. The Day 1 releases, they just never end here, but this is a visual novel experience, and I know several people did enjoy the first game. You basically play as a late-night coffee shop barista where you serve several beverages to customers and kind of listen to their life stories and experiences. It's a laid-back game that has some charm to its storytelling, so if you like visual novels, maybe check this one out again when it releases in just a couple days on April 20th. All in all, though, I mean, what a loaded lineup of games. Game Pass really is that gift that just kind of keeps on giving. But let me know which game here you're most excited about. Again, for me, it's going to have to go with The Last Case of Benedict Fox, though Cassette Beast, I think that one looks pretty interesting as well. However, let me know which one you're most excited about in the comments below. Continuing on, though, let's go ahead and talk about Nintendo, as they just announced a new event. This is for the reoccurring Indie World Showcase, which will take place tomorrow on April 19th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. They did confirm that this showcase will include 20 minutes of reveals, announcements, and updates on independent games for the Nintendo Switch. So, I mean, I guess don't go in expecting announcements for the 3DS. Rest in peace, little buddy. But, I do like these showcases. I mean, truthfully, you never really quite know what to expect from these type of showcases. But one thing that I do know is that more often than not, I come away interested in several games that they show. So hopefully that'll be the case here as well. Of course, I'll update you all tomorrow on all of its different highlights, but I will tell you all this much. Every single time Nintendo announces any type of event by this point, there's always those inevitable Silksong predictions that make their way online. I mean, honestly, I'd love to come out here and say that they'll finally announce its release date. But, I mean, at the same time, I think that we should just go in with the expectation of disappointment. I mean, if it's there, great. But if it's not, at least we didn't get our expectations too high. That's all I'm trying to say. But at the same time, okay, I guess I'm going to give you a little bit of hope here, because last year, Xbox did include Silksong in their E3-like showcase, which was supposedly for games that were set to release within the next 12 months. Now, that hasn't exactly turned out to be the case with several games, but I mean, there is still that sliver of hope here. So, I don't know. Just don't go in with too high of hopes, but yeah, there's a small sliver there. That's all I'm saying. However, though, there are some other games that I would like to get updates for, including another Crab's Treasure. This game was announced at a previous Nintendo Indie World. I feel like a lot of people kind of forgot about this one, but it actually looks quite good. It's a cute Souls-like, or I mean, I guess in this case, a Shells-like game. I think it looks pretty good, and as of now, it has a tentative 2023 release. But I'm kind of hoping we'll get something a little bit more definitive tomorrow. Speaking of which, there's also Iodine Chronicles, the much-anticipated spiritual successor to Suikoden. It right now is still planned to release in 2023, meaning this is actually one of the more interesting JRPGs set for this year. So maybe an update for it as well. But either way, do make sure to tune in for that Indie World Showcase again tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you do miss it, I'll have you covered though. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, where I asked you all, if PlayStation could revive just one dormant IP this generation, which would you most want it to be? Of course, I asked you all about Xbox yesterday, which means it's PlayStation's turn. And I mean, as you can see here, the results were very, very close. Jak and Daxter, however, did come out as the victor with 27% of the votes. Then second place went to Resistance with 20%. 18% of you all voted for Sly Cooper. 16% of you all voted for SOCOM. And then 19% of you all voted for Other, which included, I mean, several IPs such as Siphon Filter. There was Killzone. Some of you all mentioned The Legends of Dragoon. Infamous, I spotted that in the comments. Wipeout. I mean, there was just a lot of different names that showed up in the comments, and I think that is very telling on all the beloved IP PlayStation has. The fact that the results were so close here, or so evenly split, I think just kind of speaks to their quality, and it tells me that each one of these franchises deserves a revival. Come on, Sony, listen up here. But even then, though, Jak and Daxter did come out on top, and I'd say for good reason. These games were among the pinnacle of buddy duo platformers, and we don't really see those that often anymore. Now, they didn't have those collectathon aspects that so many other platformers have, but they also had an amusing story, and there was those action-based elements as well. Honestly, I'd love to see Insomniac try a new Jak and Daxter game. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, that was a great game, though I'd like to see their take on a new modern Jak. For me, though, I think that I'm with you all here. I'd probably be most happy with a new Jak or even a new Sly Cooper game. We have seen a little bit of a resurgence in 3D platformers as of recent, but I want to see that continue with more of these iconic franchises, and whether that be a new Sly Cooper or a Jak and Daxter game, I think that these would both be great games to bring back for the PlayStation 5. Now, with all that said, though, I do kind of look at these shooters here as potential games that could fill a void for Sony's first party. We haven't really seen a new first-person shooter from them in quite a while, and that's why I kind of look at Killzone and Resistance here. I think those could fill a nice little gap for Sony's first party, but still, I'm with you all here. Jak and Daxter, or maybe even Sly Cooper. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.